Presentado por Aguas Andinas.
Bienvenidos a un nuevo capítulo de La Mesa. Hoy tengo un invitado internacional, pero que conoce bastante bien Chile. La entrevista va a ser en inglés, pero con traducción, así que paciencia. Now, welcome to a new episode of La Mesa. My guest today is Anders Lindberg, who is the president of Wärtsilä Energy. Did I pronounce it properly?
Absolutely.
Okay. Anders was in Chile recently, I think about 10 days ago. And Wärtsilä, you might not know exactly what it does, but it has a big role in the transition towards a net zero energy grid in Chile and in the world. And they're big in Latin America. But I'm going to let Anders, why don't we start? First, thank you for joining me in the program. Why don't you explain a little bit what your company does and what they do specifically in Chile? And then we can get on with the specifics.
Yeah, so Wärtsilä is a company of about 18,000 employees globally, and is in two business. One is marine and the other one is energy. And I am responsible for the energy part of the business. And what we do in both marine and in energy is that we help our customers to decarbonize their businesses. So on energy side, we work with many different markets around the world in helping our customers to decarbonize their systems. And we have been active in Chile, and we have both battery storage and engine power plants as our products. And we also do service of these plants.
So you were recently in Chile. Your big partner in Chile is Colbún, and you have a study that you were pointing out as ways that Chile can shorten and make more efficient the transition, and their objective that by 2050 we have a completely renewable energy grid. Now, Chile's made quite a lot of progress, but how would you evaluate Chile's progress towards carbon neutrality? What's the good, the bad, and the ugly right now?
Yeah, no, so Chile has a very ambitious plan and have come quite far in integrating renewables into the system. And this can also be seen in this study. But when you come to a certain level of penetration of renewables, it's very important that the system also offer flexibility, because renewables are intermittent, and then you need flexibility of power generation that can go in and support when the renewables are not available.
But one of the problems in Chile is that we generate a lot of renewable energy in the north, but we have problems with lack of storage capacity and lack of transmission. And one of your proposals, or one of your suggestions, is to give a role in this transition where we need more flexibility to natural gas. Can you explain why?
Yes. So we have flexible engines running on gas today that tomorrow can run on sustainable fuels. But by using flexible gas engines today that quickly can turn on and turn off, and also are efficient on different loads, you can adapt these engine power plants to what is needed in the system at any given point in time. And by doing that, you can then take out the inflexible coal power plants, because the coal power plants, they are not flexible. So when you turn them on, they stay on, which means that you have to curtail the renewables. And also you have extra costs in running these coal power plants that you don't need when the renewables come back and are available again.
And how does that fit with some of the criticism, of not particularly to what you propose, but in general, is that given more natural time to natural gas as part of the grid in this transitional phase, it is not aligned with the long-term sustainability goal? How do you answer to that?
No, so by having flexible engine power plants in the network, you will be able to reduce the total CO2 emissions by taking out the inflexible coal power plants. So by running them much less of the time, because they are not needed all the time that they stay on, like the coal power plants, you can reduce the amount of running hours. And also, when they run, gas is cleaner than coal. So you have two benefits: you run them less, and you also have a cleaner fuel than coal. And then you have the ability to transition these power plants to sustainable fuels when they become available in the future. So there are a number of advantages having these flexible power plants for the system today, run on gas, and in the future, run on sustainable fuels.
Your study suggests that with this flexible power plants and storage systems, Chile can integrate more renewables without compromise grid stability and also quicken the transition. What does that require? A lot of investment? Does that require the state to do something? Can all be done by private? What sort of reception, besides your relationship with Colbún in Chile, are people receptive to your message?
I think that people understand, and that people that study systems understand the challenges of the system today with having the coal power plants that are not flexible. And we also have seen in the latest auction in Chile that also the price on the renewable went up. And one of the reasons why it went up is the amount of curtailment that the renewable companies that bid into the auctions of renewable have to count on. And this would be changed if you had flexible generation in the system. Then there would be less of curtailments and thereby a better business case to add more renewables.
How does let's say that besides Colbún, let's say that a lot of the renewable generators in Chile decide to follow your advice. How quickly, how much infrastructure investment, how much money can this be done parallel to what's being done now, or is this require a lot of investments and time, in terms of infrastructure instead of technology, instead of in terms of money?
Obviously need to invest in having these flexible power plants, but it would reduce the investment in the system of the grid, and it would also reduce the cost of building out a lot of storage capacity if you're only going to balance the system with the storage capacity. So these are two advantages. And if you look long term, if you have a system purely based on renewables and storage compared to a system where you have renewables, storage, and flexible gas power plants, then there is a huge difference in investment cost to come to these two systems long term. It's a difference of $17 billion looking at Chile.
Over how many period of time? How long period of time?
This is up until the study we have done, and the model we have done is up to 2045.
So it would be from now to 2045?
Yes.
So it'd be in 25 years, you would need an investment of about $70 billion. And what would be
$17 billion less than if you do it with pure renewables and only storage, because you need to oversize the storage systems to cope with the lengthy period where you don't have wind or sun. So therefore you can reduce the total investment cost by 17 billion with this second alternative where you also add the gas engines to flexibility in the system.
Last week when I was preparing a bit for this interview, I talked to a few people in the industry, and they agree with a lot of the things that you say in the study, but they also say, not all of them, but quite a few, they said, the issue is that we think, meaning them, that the speed of technology advancements in the battery storage, lithium-based, storage batteries that are being, developed and built is happening so fast that in a very short period of time, this flexible alternative might not be needed. How do you answer to that?
No, as I said, we have looked at two scenarios. one when you only have battery storage and renewables, and the other scenario is when you have renewables, battery storage, and flexible engines. And we can see, as I mentioned, that the difference in total investment cost is 17 billion. So it is a matter of cost for the system, and also you can come faster to the net zero, assuming, of course, that there will be from 2035 also sustainable fuels. You will come faster to a net zero system.
You are in all over the world and in Latin America. Chile is quite advanced in generating and making the generating renewable energies. We are quite behind in developing the transmission and distribution infrastructures to make sure that this benefits from that we get from generating renewable energies from the sun and the wind in the north can get to the population and business centers. Are there lessons that your company has learned or applied in other countries and other markets that are a similar level along the way in the transition that Chile could adapt?
Yeah, we have a power system analysis group that have studied more than 190 markets around the world, where we build up a model with Plexus, and we look at what is the optimal way to come to a net zero system. And what we have seen on markets that have integrated a lot of renewables is the need of storage solutions, which Chile is also implementing, but also of engines that are flexible. We can see this in other markets. You can look at markets like Australia. Some states in Australia, like Southern Australia, have come quite far on renewable integration, and also of Texas in the US, which also have a very high penetration degree of renewables. And what you can see in both of these two markets is the need for storage and also flexible balancing engines in order to balance and be flexible with the renewables that are intermittent. So by looking at these two markets, that as Chile has come quite far in implementing renewables, we can see that this is a good way of solving the challenges that we see when we integrate the renewables.
How big is your business in Chile? I mean, besides your relation with Colbún, what sense did you get in your recent visit? Did you meet with government officials or only industry leaders? What sort of the plans for your company to implement and apply this strategy?
Yeah, so we invited to a forum where about 100 people signed up, and this was people from the industry, both from planning, from the governmental side, but also from customer side, and where we presented our study and also had discussions after the presentations that we did. And we also met with different customers when we were in Chile, who acknowledges the challenges of the system and also the solutions. And I think that the challenge in Chile is how to implement this, because obviously if you have flexibility in the system, you want these engines to run as few hours as possible, because you want the renewables to run. And of course, all the systems are built up for running many hours and generating a lot of kilowatt hours. But you want the flexible engines to run as little as possible. So you need to have a market mechanism that actually support the implementation of flexible engine power plants, just like you need a support system for adding battery storage to the system.
How would you rate if you I'm not sure if you can, because it may put you on the spot, but how would you rate the current state of the discussion in the energy transition in Chile? I'm not sure how much details you know about the issue of pricing and the fight between the traditional and old school generators and the new renewable ones in terms of the price mechanism, that they consider it's unfair and favors the establishment, and the challenges, the fact that we are generating a lot of renewable energy in the north, but the whole infrastructure to transmit it to the population centers, we're way behind, and we probably won't be ready until 2030. I mean, when you look at the Chilean market, what do you see the good things, the bad, the not so good, and where the opportunities are?
No, I think that the good thing that I see is that Chile has a very ambitious plan and have come quite far in implementing the renewables, especially in the north with the solar, and also in the south with the wind. So I think that is the very positive thing. Then, of course, another positive thing is that Chile now has started also a very ambitious plan on integrating battery storage, which is a product that we also do, and we have 3 projects that we're implementing in Chile at the moment, in total 272 megawatt hours. So that is the positive things. The challenging things is that besides that, you need, as I mentioned, the flexibility of generation when the storage cannot today handle the longer periods when there is no sun or wind. And there we suggest to have then flexible engine power plants with gas to do that. Because today, and that's also a challenging, in Chile there is a lot of coal-fired plant, and they are not very good in providing this flexibility. On the contrary, they take a long time to start up, they take a long time to shut down, and they have also long minimum on time, which means that you have curtailment of the renewables, which means that they have difficulty in making their business case, and you're not using the renewables that you have paid for, and the fuel is free, and instead you're burning coal where you have to pay for which you have to pay for. So you have higher operational expenses, and you don't make use of the renewables, and also it's not good for the climate to do that. So that is where I see the challenges.
And I don't know if the last question, but maybe next to the last question, how do you work? How does Wärtsilä work? Do you go and first get partners or customers, and then decide to go ahead with the project and the plant and these flexible plans, or do you have to first, or do you just go ahead, build them, and then go get customers?
No, so the first thing we do is that we are doing a power system analysis ourselves or together with a partner company locally, or with the planning organization of the government. So we do, because I think it's very important that it should not be a debate of different beliefs. We should base this discussion on facts and figures. And by doing the power system analysis study, we can show with facts and figures what is one scenario versus another scenario. And this is what we have done, and this is what we have presented when I was in Chile. And after that, we also talk to customers that also see this opportunity, and then we offer storage and flexible gas engine power plants to customers that are willing to bid, so to say, into auctions that come up in the country. So this is normally how we work.
And in terms of times, for example, if you go ahead and decide to go ahead with one or two projects, from the moment that you get the go ahead, how long does it take for them to be operational?
I would say it takes about 18 months, 18 to 24 months from when you push the button to start, so to say, the project until you finish it. But before that, obviously, you need an auction to take place. And I think that is the critical timeline in Chile, is to make such an auction happen. I know, and I learned when I was in Chile, that there was an auction launched quite quickly with the synchronous condensers because the planning organization realized that with all the renewables in the system, there is a need to have more inertia and short circuit currents in the system. So there was an auction launched quite quickly on synchronous condensers. And of course, something similar could be done for flexible engines to provide also the power to the system that the system needs. That would be the quick way to do it.
Okay, well, I'm sure there's some other questions that were left on the desk, but we've reached the time. Hopefully next time we can do it in person and not, or you could come to the studio if you're in Chile in the next couple of months or year. But thank you very much, Anders Lindberg, president of Wärtsilä Energy, and you're vice president of Wärtsilä, the whole company as well. Is that right?
Yes.
Anyway, well, thank you very much for joining me in the program, and hopefully it will not be the first and only time.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you for participating.
Presentado por Aguas Andinas.